I I'm going to break down again. That's what I feel.
This is our retirement. This is our nest egg. This is where we moved in when we got married.
The great state of California was founded 9/9/1850 in the year of the dog. If you're in California in the year of the dragon, I expect a lot of problems.
Unraveling the inferno, the shocking truth behind the LA fire outbreak.
Los Angeles, there's a wrath coming to this city.
Imagine this, the sky turns orange, ashes rain down like snow, and the air smells of destruction. This isn't some apocalyptic movie scene, it's real life. A fire outbreak that tore through LA, leaving devastation in its wake. But what really caused it, and how could it have been prevented? Today we'll take a deep dive into the events, the causes, and the aftermath of one of the most destructive fire outbreaks in Los Angeles history. Stay with me because what we uncover might shock you.
This is new aerial video of a sixth fire breaking out Wednesday night.
The timeline, how it all began. Let's start with how it all began. The day was like any other, a hot summer morning in LA. But there was one critical difference. A red flag warning had been issued. For those unfamiliar, a red flag warning is when the conditions for a wildfire are perfect. Low humidity, high temperatures, and strong winds. Around midday, the first plume of smoke was spotted near the hillside. Within hours, that small plume turned into an uncontrollable blaze. Winds gusting at 50 miles per hour carried embers across neighborhoods, sparking smaller fires in their wake. Residents were caught off guard as evacuation orders started rolling in. Panic set in as people scrambled to save what they could: family photos, pets, their most precious belongings. Firefighters were deployed almost immediately, but the sheer speed of the fire made it nearly impossible to contain. By nightfall, thousands of acres were already reduced to ash, and the fire showed no signs of slowing down. This timeline is crucial to understand because it highlights just how quickly disasters like this can escalate. But what was the spark? Was it natural, or something else entirely? Let's find out. The causes: nature versus negligence. Now let's get into the possible causes. First, we have the natural factors. Los Angeles has always been prone to wildfires, thanks to its dry climate and the infamous Santa Ana winds. These winds are hot, dry, and fast, turning even the smallest spark into a raging inferno. Add to that years of drought and you've got a recipe for disaster. But here's the twist. While nature plays a big role, human activity often tips the scale. Investigators found that this particular fire may have been started by a faulty power line. Yes, something as simple as old, poorly maintained equipment can ignite a fire that destroys thousands of lives. And it doesn't stop there. Some suspect negligence played a part: people ignoring fire safety regulations, illegal campfires, or even discarded cigarettes. It's sobering to think about how small human errors can lead to such massive destruction. This brings up a critical question. How do we balance the risks of living in fire-prone areas with the reality of human error? Hold on to that thought as we move into the next section. Personal stories, the human side of the fire.
How do you feel looking at this morning?
Who would have thought? You know, we've all had a really big lesson.
What is it?
And
I'm going to break down again. That's what I feel.
That our experience of reality can change in a moment.
It blew through all of the old town, the iconic old town.
This is our retirement. This is our nest egg. This is where we moved in when we got married. This is where our son was born. This was our house.
To truly understand the devastation caused by the LA fire outbreak, we need to look beyond the numbers and statistics. These fires didn't just destroy land, they shattered lives. Let's dive into the stories of some individuals whose lives were forever changed by this disaster. Take Maria, a single mother of two who lived in one of the hardest hit areas. The fire reached her neighborhood in the middle of the night. "I woke up to this eerie glow outside my window," Maria recalls. "I could feel the heat through the glass. It was like the fire was breathing down my neck." With just minutes to spare, she grabbed her children, their dog, and a single photo album before fleeing. "I couldn't think about what I was leaving behind. I just knew we had to get out." Her home was reduced to ashes, but she's grateful her family survived. Then there's Jake, a firefighter with 15 years of experience. He described the fire as one of the most challenging battles of his career. "The winds were so strong that embers were flying miles ahead of the main blaze. We'd put out one fire and 5 more would pop up." Jake worked 48 hours straight, battling the flames and helping evacuate residents. He admitted, "It's not just the physical exhaustion, it's the emotional toll. You see people lose everything and you can't save everyone." And let's not forget the small business owners like Linda, who owned a cafe that was a neighborhood staple. "That cafe was my dream," she said, tears in her eyes. "It wasn't just a place to get coffee. It was a community hub. Watching it burn felt like losing a piece of myself." Linda plans to rebuild, but the road ahead is long and uncertain. These stories are a powerful reminder that wildfires aren't just natural disasters. They're deeply personal tragedies. They leave scars not just on the land but on the people who call it home. The aftermath, picking up the pieces. When the flames finally died down, the devastation was staggering. Over 20,000 acres of land were destroyed. For context, that's roughly the size of 15,000 football fields. Entire neighborhoods were reduced to rubble. Hundreds of families were left homeless, with nothing but the clothes on their backs. The environmental impact was equally devastating. Thousands of trees, some of them decades old, were lost in the blaze. Wildlife habitats were destroyed, displacing countless animals. The air quality plummeted, with smoke lingering in the atmosphere for days, even weeks. This wasn't just a local problem, it affected the entire region. But amidst the destruction, stories of resilience and hope began to emerge. Communities rallied together to support those in need. Churches and community centers opened their doors to provide shelter for evacuees. Volunteers organized donation drives, collecting clothes, food, and other essentials for families who had lost everything. One particularly heartwarming story comes from a local high school. Students organized a fundraiser, selling handmade bracelets to raise money for fire victims. It's moments like these that remind us of the power of community. At the same time, however, there were tough questions being asked. Could this disaster have been prevented? Who should be held accountable? These are the questions that will shape how we move forward. The solutions, a safer future. Now that we've seen the destruction, the question is, how do we prevent this from happening again? The answer isn't simple, but there are steps we can take to reduce the risk of future wildfires. First, let's talk about accountability. Investigations revealed that a faulty power line may have sparked the LA fire. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. Utility companies need to be held to higher standards. That means stricter regulations, routine inspections, and immediate repairs of outdated equipment. Some states have already started implementing these measures, but it's clear that more needs to be done. Next, there's the issue of climate change. Scientists agree that climate change is making wildfires more frequent and severe. Rising temperatures and prolonged droughts create the perfect conditions for fires to spread. Addressing climate change isn't just about preventing wildfires, it's about protecting our planet for future generations. This means reducing greenhouse gas emissions, investing in renewable energy, and making sustainable choices in our daily lives. On a local level, there are things we can all do to reduce wildfire risks. Homeowners in fire-prone areas should create defensible spaces around their properties. This involves clearing away dry brush, using fire-resistant materials in construction, and keeping gutters free of debris. These small steps can make a big difference in protecting homes from wildfires. Education is another key factor. Many wildfires are caused by human negligence, things like discarded cigarettes, unattended campfires, or illegal fireworks. Public awareness campaigns can help educate people about the risks and encourage safer behavior. Finally, we need to invest in better firefighting resources. This includes not just equipment and technology, but also training and support for the brave men and women on the front lines. They risk their lives to protect us, and they deserve our full support. As the ashes settle and life begins to rebuild, one question remains. What will we do to prevent this from happening again? Will we hold companies accountable? Will we take action on climate change? Will we educate ourselves and others about fire safety? The answers to these questions will determine the future, not just for Los Angeles, but for all fire-prone areas. The power to make a difference is in our hands. So what will we do with it?